Hey guys, so today we are going to be building an enclosure for a American green tree frog. His name is Rupert. A lot of you might be wondering why we named him Rupert, and it's because it's hilarious and I love that name. So Rupert's getting an enclosure today, and I hope you guys enjoyed the build process. We have a bunch of coconut fiber that we're going to put in the bottom because it's going to be really good for the frog, because it's not going to have any like sharp things in it, whereas here right now there's a lot of all of this, and because of how thin their skin is, I don't want to risk injuring him because he's so small, even though he's going to be on the glass most of the time. So I'm going to put some of that in, and we'll start moving plants in after. This right here is for any of the dirt from the plants, just to make sure it's going to get new dirt, and then we'll let this sit before introducing the animal to it. So yeah, I think that's all that I needed to cover. So let's get started. So I just put in a fern. That one I'm hoping to cover up with the pothos, so that way it doesn't get as much light, because they don't like a whole lot of light. So I'm hoping to put a pothos up there, and then hopefully I'll still have room for this plant afterwards. That's the idea. We'll see how well it goes. But a lot of the time they sell pothos in big containers like this, and it's actually multiple plants together, or multiple cuttings, and they're not usually super well rooted yet. So they cut them, they put them into a big container all together, and then they ship them off to be sold. But this one's really well rooted actually. You can see a lot of those roots on camera, hopefully. But you can usually split off different plants from in here and spread them throughout an enclosure. But here we're hoping to keep a lot of them together still. These are pretty well done. Hopefully these come apart nicely. So there's like one plant, although that one's made up of a bunch of other plants. There's a second, and the third and fourth, and so on and so forth. The reason I'm shaking out all of the old dirt is because I don't know what's in this dirt, because it's bought from a store this way. So by getting rid of the old dirt, I can guarantee that this new dirt doesn't have anything that may be toxic, especially to a frog that is going to be susceptible to a lot of things. So the idea is, this way I can control those variables for our sticky friend that will be living here. Now I know it looks like a lot of green, and it is, don't get me wrong, but hopefully over time the colors in a lot of these leaves will pop in the ways that they like stand out from one another. So for example, this guy has a lot of like little striped areas, like almost like you can see the cells in the leaf. Whereas pothos, especially this type of pothos, typically has a sort of marbled look, and hopefully that will differentiate them from one another long term. You can sort of tell here that I'm not super happy with the way things looked. It just looks like a lot of green at this point. And I end up deciding that we want to put some of the plants in some future enclosures. The big one we put it on the left because it is so green. I didn't feel like it would end up adding a lot to the enclosure. The other thing we ended up deciding is to put in some hardscape later on. At this point, I'm trying to figure out how to add other pieces and play with a few things, and that's all that this is about. It's a creative process, so it's not always gonna look right off the bat. Toy with it, have fun, see what looks right to you. There, I tried to add in a little piece of bark. Didn't end up being able to see a whole lot of it because of all the leaves, and realistically, like that plant I just took out, that was adding so much for the animal, but you also have to make it enjoyable for you. So it's a balancing act, you know. At this point, we're trying to figure out, you know, how to make things look as applicable as possible, and we end up finding a few things that make it look a little bit better, which you can see now. I think he's going to enjoy that. I think that the hardscape added a lot to it. With that said, it's going to have some more here, and then obviously lighting. But
do we want to close the door just for like a through the glass look?
It's not too bad. Not my favorite one we've done. Not my least favorite. But we will. If you want to see more things like this, stay tuned. Like I said, we have 2 more videos coming out, and they have a lot more space to work with, so it's going to be a lot easier to work with a lot of the larger plants and more exciting builds. But we don't want to unveil what those animals are for yet. Those will be coming out soon. You likely will see the exact same outfits. Surprise, surprise. See you then.